So apparently if it is wet, but you don't have wet tires on, you should be a little bit more careful than I was here. Who knew? And with that, welcome back to HD Racing, to the Quick Look series, where we endeavor to take a look at every single car from the Forza GT series for multiplayer. And today we are finally getting to the first of 3 Porsches that we have in game, and we're starting with the 2017 Porsche GT Team 911 RSR. And this is quite a fun car, I have to say, and also quite a lot different than a lot of the other cars that we've driven here in the Quick Look series, because it is a Porsche. That means the engine is in the rear, and that definitely affects the handling of this car. And sometimes in a good and sometimes a little bit in a bad way. But like overall, I am very happy with this car, and it's, as I said, very different. But we'll get to more of that later as we get started here at Homestead, Miami. I get a good launch and I'm a little bit careful for the next corner. And then for this next one, I definitely did outbrake myself a little bit here. But it was also a little bit because of the conditions. You can see here once again really struggling and barely managed to keep it on the road. I think that was just due to other cars being around me and kind of keeping me in place. So I think I was lucky there. But yeah, this race was difficult in terms of conditions because it was raining qualifying, but it did dry up in the end. And for the race start, it was still kind of wet. You can see here it was raining just a little bit, but not much. And well, the game recommended to go for just medium tires and not wets, and I decided to just follow that, to not just, well, take wets and then just be slow all race. And I decided to, well, let's try it out and maybe we can make this work, but it was definitely difficult. Don't worry, I'm also gonna show you another race afterwards in the dry conditions, so we get a little bit of a better idea of how this car behaves as well. And as you can see, the Corvette in front decides to get rid of another car here, so we are up into P5. But yeah, I'm kind of wary now. I saw what this guy did, so I'm like, okay, let's steer a little bit clear of him. But then get a good launch here onto the straight. But I'm very afraid here on the inside here. I had this before, and yep, he almost punts me into the barrier, and that kind of threw me, I have to say. And I think I just forgot to brake at this point, and well, luckily don't go all too wide and don't hit anyone while rejoining. That was also quite lucky, I have to say. But that means we are now back in P6. The Corvette, by the way, seems to be just gone, disappeared. I don't know where he went. And that's also because one of the things that is not that great about this car, visibility towards the rear. It's a thing that is the case for some cars in this series. There's no good mirror, there is no monitor, so you oftentimes don't have a clue what's going on behind you unless you actually take a look. But yeah, it is what it is. Like, some cars in this series are just that way. I mean, they are modeled after the real thing, so if they are that way, then what can you do? They don't want to change things here. I wish there was a virtual mirror that you could enable, so you would have a little bit of a better idea. But yeah, it is what it is for this car. It's not the worst thing in the world. I was alongside the Lambo here, and yeah, once again kind of overestimated the amount of grip that I would have through that fast left-hander, and well, luckily nothing major happened here. But yeah, coming to the end of the second lap here, we are gonna jump ahead to lap number 3, and you're gonna see that we are in P5 right now and still behind the Lambo. And I'm trying here to, well, get by him. I was a little bit faster, especially through the handling sections, it seemed like. But it was kind of difficult in these conditions to make anything work here. And once again, I think a little bit fast. And luckily this time managed to keep it on the road. He kind of bumps into me a little bit. Luckily still managed to keep it on track. And well, for now I am able to overtake him here. But you're gonna see that, well, the difficult conditions really messed with me. And well, fighting in these conditions, you sometimes just forget that you should be a little bit more careful because it is wet, but I don't have wet tires on. And you're gonna see here, like you saw in the very beginning, I definitely overshoot this corner, go wide on the grass, and I'm struggling to just keep it together. I think I should have just lifted more here, and yeah, once again going over the track and Really sorry to the guy behind me that in the Aston here that now just passed me. He was probably not happy with how I did drive this. I think I really should have been way more careful on just not letting that happen in the first place, and then I should have lifted more. I was like way too much in the mindset of like I need to keep my speed going, and was just like on throttle the whole time almost, and that's not great. So don't do what I did, and well, as I said, I would say be a little bit more careful. But yeah, overall in this race the car felt good still, as I, by the way, get collected once again. I don't know, I think another guy did overshoot the corner a little bit. He seems to be waiting there, so I don't think it was on purpose. I think he gets going here, but yeah, I feel like that, yeah, it happens. I mean, as I said, these conditions were difficult, and as I said before, we're gonna jump to a normal, a dry race, and I'm gonna talk about what the car is like, because I really haven't done that at all. But yeah, I thought this race is way too interesting to not show, because it is one of these rare occasions where it's wet but not really all that wet, and you're most likely better off with just the normal tires. And well, as I said, it was interesting, so I decided to include this anyway. By the way, it was my first race in this car, so definitely trial by fire in this one, or by rain in this case more likely. So yeah, I think the guy in front of me is the one that managed to bump into the back of me, and for some reason he decides to he wants to let me go at some point, but kind of picks a weird spot for that. I'm not sure, or maybe that was something else you're gonna see shortly before the finish line. I mean, I'm still in P7, so I was doing kind of okay, even though I had some big problems. Other people definitely had as well. Here you can see the guy slowing down. I don't know if that was to brake check me, but I don't think so. I think he just wanted to let me by. It was a little bit sketchy, but well, what can you do? Overall, actually finished in P7 because of penalties, so result was okay. Racing definitely was not. But on this race here at Watkins Glen, you're gonna see that I will be able to perform quite a lot better. Just real quick, if you're new around here or haven't subscribed yet, feel free to do so. It would really help the channel quite a lot, and thank you so much. And well, starting in P3, we have, well, I think there's an Audi beside me, we're gonna see in a little bit, and in P1 that's a McLaren, and well, we're gonna see how well we can do in this one. It's not the biggest lobby, just 11 players, but at least in the front the field was kind of at the same pace from qualifying times at least. And I'm able to keep up for now with these two in front. The Audi really seems to have trouble, and he seems to be sliding all over the place. Not quite sure if that's just a network issue or if he's actually having trouble here. But yeah, here trying to brake early enough for bus stop, because I definitely made the mistake when following someone here to brake too late and then you just hit the barrier or spin off. That's really dangerous. So if you're following someone there, I would recommend just being careful and brake early enough. And for now, these two guys in front, even though they're fighting, they seem to be a little bit faster than me, and I was struggling to keep up. Even though I was doing okay, I wasn't doing as well as they were. The guys behind, for now they are still kind of close, but I think also there they will have, yeah, you can see here, a little bit of trouble, so I will have a little bit of clean air to just, well, race, and for now finally also talk about the car a little more. So why does this car feel so much different than most of the other GT cars? As I said, it's because the engine is in the rear. It sits on the rear axle, and there's a lot of weight there. And that means you can have a lot of traction when going on power, but also the rear can sometimes slide around a little bit. Especially you can have lift-off oversteer. And that is something that normally doesn't happen all that much in other GT cars, but it's a characteristic that I found quite prominent in Porsches, especially this one. I haven't driven the other ones all that much, but this one definitely felt like it was very prominent in that aspect. So you need to be careful a little bit, and sometimes maybe through the fast corners keep a little bit of throttle on, so you don't have the rear step out while going through a fast corner. but you can of course also try to fix that with tuning, and we're gonna talk about that later as well. I haven't talked about that yet. I will have tuning for you for this car, so you can take a look at what that is like in the end. But yeah, other than that, the car actually feels really good. I don't think it has the best acceleration and top speed. It's okay, but it's not amazing. We're gonna see that in the Hotlap comparison afterwards. But handling wise, it really feels nice. And that's the nice thing about a Porsche. It really moves around the corner quite nimbly, I would say, if that's even a word. It feels good. Like in terms of handling, even stock feels quite good. There's a little bit of understeer sometimes, because the weight is on the rear, you sometimes don't have that much grip at the front, and that if you can make the rear then step out just a little bit to have a little bit of slip angle, you sometimes don't have the grip in the front to actually get around the corner fast. But again, that's something that can be fixed with fine-tuning as well, or at least improved, let's say it like that. And it didn't feel like super bad in this car. We're coming up here on the Audi, by the way, who seemed to struggle, and he is struggling even more. And I think, from looking at how he's driving here, that he did pick soft tires, and that is probably also why he was able to get away so fast. But the soft tires don't last 4 laps on Watkins Glen. They barely just don't, and I think that's what happened here, as I bonked the wall for good measure on the last lap. So yeah, I was able to actually get this guy and finish in P2 in this case, and yeah, I was kind of happy with this result. But we are now gonna take a look at the Hotlap comparison in the stock tune, as we always do, and afterwards we're also gonna take a look at another Hotlap in a tuned version of this car. So in the stock one, as you can see, definitely losing out on the straight to the Audi that we're always comparing to here. But in terms of braking, it seemed like this car was performing quite well. I definitely felt that on brakes, this car really could make up for the fact that it wasn't as fast and didn't have as much acceleration as some of the other cars. I think I haven't really measured this, but it felt like I could brake later than in other cars. Maybe you can let me know if you have a similar experience to this. But yeah, definitely that is one of the strengths of the car, at least from what I've found. And the other strength is, as I said, the handling. Moving around corners, and especially like the mid-speed ones, you can really throw the car in, get a little bit of slip angle. You need to be careful to not overdo it, or the rear will step out. But if you manage to get that just right, you really can take a lot of speed through a corner. And well, that is what this car, I think, is really good at. The handling focus tracks, in my opinion. It wouldn't, I don't think, otherwise, I mean, if you can do something with tuning, then maybe it can also do well on tracks like Le Mans, but I don't think it's a track that is like really to the strength of this car. I think more the handling focus tracks will be where this car can shine. And overall, I wasn't able to do like a super good time in this car. It felt a little bit faster just from how it felt to drive than it actually was. You can see here in the end I did a 144.698, but it was okay and a little bit faster than some of the other middle of the road or decent good cars. But yeah, we are now gonna take a look at another Hotlap in a tuned variant of the car. You can already see, yes, I'm still losing out on the straight to the Audi, but again, on brakes, definitely catching up, and I didn't lose out all that much, is what I meant to say here as well. And you can see here really throwing the car into the corners and, you know, getting a little bit of slip angle. You can see in this corner I always keep a little bit of throttle on, because otherwise the rear can't step out. As I said, lift off oversteer is definitely a thing in this car, so you need to drive this a little bit different to some of the other cars. But you can, through these tighter sections, definitely get a lot out of it. And you can see I'm really throwing the car into this hairpin and, well, getting it rotated quite nicely, go on power quite early, and I'm able to, well, get around that corner quite well. This one as well. You can see here I'm keeping up with the Audi, and I think I even could have match the time of the Audi. I make a little bit of a mistake in the end that costs me a little bit of time. And also here, that corner wasn't the best, so I did lose out a little bit, but once again, I don't wanna like grind these rivals for hours, and it's just not comparable if I do that. So what I'm gonna, the lap time that I'm showing here now is what I was able to do, as you can see, in like 15 minutes. So not that much time. I was just trying to get used to the tune and well, to the adjustments that I made, and I was able to do, I think, quite well for this car, and definitely had a big improvement with a 144.334 in this case. So how did I do this? I'm gonna show you the tuning now. As always, you can pause on every screen and take a look. I didn't do anything major here. It's mostly just some small adjustments, and well, the basics that I did talk about in my tuning guide applied here, and well, some other just minor adjustments, I think, in dampening, for example. But like overall, definitely not all that much that is needed to be adjusted here. But as I said, it makes a big difference, and you can make this car still handle quite well, and maybe even a little bit better by getting rid of some understeer, and also control the lift of oversteer a little bit better, but get a lot more speed out of the car and keep more speed through the corners as well. So yeah, overall I really like the Porsche from 2017, the 911 RSR. It's a fun car to drive, definitely a lot different to a lot of the other cars, as I said before. And yeah, I would urge you to give it a try. And if you would like to get a little bit of a different experience and yeah, have some fun in one of the Porsches, I'm definitely gonna cover the other ones as well in the future. It might be a little while. I'm also gonna try to get to some of the other cars that I haven't covered yet. But yeah, it's definitely gonna come in the future. And so I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did and unsubscribed to the channel yet, feel free to do so. It would really help the channel quite a lot. And with that, I want to just say thanks a lot for watching. I've been HD Racing. See you next time.